Good morning, everybody. Happy hump day. It's Wednesday, the 18th. This is the off ramp. I'm your host, Thomas Jason Anderson. So I decided I'll probably do a few lives today, but I wanted to start off the morning with just my views on what's happening in Guyana politically um, from an American government watchdog perspective. Yes, I'm doing social media right now. I have a platform now, but the perspective I'm coming with is the perspective of a 15-year government watchdog working as a research journalist out of a think tank in Washington D.C. And so, and so I do have a slightly different perspective on what's happening, and it's simply because I've been looking at the situation in Guyana going back to 2009 when I saw that members of the PPP within the Guyanese diaspora in New York City were giving bribes to elected officials in New York City. And so a lot of people are saying, "Hey, stay out of Guyana's business. Why is this American talking about Guyana?" Well, I've said this a million times, but I will repeat again to anyone who does not know. Okay? You can look at the news reporting. It was my research that led to a series of stories. And these series of stories were related to corruption in Washington, D.C., but coming out of New York City. People like Charlie Rangel, Gregory Meeks, Reverend Floyd Flake, Jay Z, a lot of people were involved. Senator John Sampson, a lot of people were involved. Um, and in the midst of all of the political corruption in New York City was a group of Guyanese Americans who were giving bribes to government officials. And there were convictions on this. You guys, if people do not believe it, you can just look back and see there were criminal convictions on this. This is not make believe. So when people say, "Oh, why are you worried about Guyana?" Okay, well, because people in Guyana are bribing American government officials. Oh, he's making it up. That's not happening. Google it. It's really hard sometimes to deal with people who refuse to live in reality and they believe that their small little subset of facts in their little world in their mind is reality for the world. It is not the case. Many people need to open up their eyes and realize that the United States and Guyana have been involved with each other for a long time, but in the wrong ways. Okay. Through smuggling, through corruption, criminal stuff. This is what's been going on for a long time. I happen to be the only person in the all of the media in the United States who has been covering this. I've been covering it now going back to 2009. And so people are like, "Oh, why are you talking about Guyana?" I've been talking about it since 2009. Okay? Okay, so now that everyone knows this, and I hope people can understand this, and if you don't believe it, it's all documented. You can Google it. You can see that my co-author for Gold Bar Bob, okay, it's up above me here, that book. You can see that book is real. Go on Amazon. You can go to any store. You can order it online, Walmart, Target, Barnes and Noble. You can get the audio book. You can get the ebook. You will see Isabel Vincent is an investigative journalist at the New York Post. You can see that she's written hundreds of investigative pieces. But you will also see that amongst those, all of those hundreds of pieces, you will see some of the reporting on the bribing of government officials by Guyanese. Okay. And the people who were doing it were members of the PPP. Okay. This isn't make believe. So I understand a lot of you don't understand this. You've never heard of this. You don't know that this is going on. You don't know that members of the PPP are bribing US government officials. You don't know that. I understand you don't know that. But that's what's been going on. There have been literally criminal prosecutions for this. People have gone to jail for this. It's so I hope that we I hope we can set that foundation once and for all. Please. And if anyone is wondering what's going on later, just go back to this video. And if you don't believe it, Google it all. It's all there. Okay? It's all there. So now with that said, what how do I see the political situation after looking at the situation since 2009, okay? And reporting on it since 2009. How do I see the situation now? And the reason why I'm saying this is because someone asked me in my private messages, what do I think of what's going on now with certain things? And I gave them a sobering answer. I'm sorry, but I try to tell the truth. I don't try to use it as a weapon or as a benefit to benefit myself or to hurt other people. I just try to tell the truth because I think transparency helps all of us. With it, you can decide whatever you want with your life, but I'm not telling you guys what to do. I'm just saying, well, here's what's going on. And then you can make adjustments from there, right? And so he asked me, and I told him the truth. I said, look, you know, what you're seeing in Guyana right now is the PPP becoming a dictatorship. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. That's the reality. People can debate it all you want. You can be angry all you want. But for the world to know, if anyone's wondering, well, who's this guy? Like I said before, I've been looking at this since 2009. My work has led to criminal prosecutions of government officials in the United States who have taken bribes from members of the PPP. I know what I'm talking about. I'm letting you know, I'm letting everyone know, in case you didn't know, what's happening in Guyana right now is the PPP is becoming a dictatorship. So the world should understand. The United States should understand. And we probably already know, but for those of us who don't know, and for those of us in Guyana who do not know, you will be living under a dictatorship soon. It will be you're already under it, but it will be public knowledge. The world will just say, yes, that's a dictatorship. It's the only entity that runs that nation is the PPP. That's it. There is no other political entity. Maybe on paper, but there isn't. And I'll tell you why that became the case. It wasn't always like this. There was an opportunity in the last election for there to be a chance to still have an opposition party in Guyana. Okay. But that chance went away with the Win Party and Azruddin Mohammed. Because what the Win Party did was they destroyed the opposition. They didn't take any votes from the PPP. The PPP got more seats in parliament. The PPP got more power, and the opposition got split. And here's why. And what topped it off, see, maybe there would have been a chance even after the election for there still to be a legitimate opposition party. But what topped it all off was Azruddin Mohammed being officially recognized as the opposition leader. And here's the problem with doing that. For people in Guyana, everyone's like, fine, stay out of our business. It's fine if we want him as our opposition leader. That's fine. I've never argued. As a matter of fact, before the election, the entire month before the election last year, I didn't make a single comment on the elections because I wanted to make sure people of Guyana didn't have any influence from a foreigner like me. So I stayed out of it. But fast forward until now, I'm still staying out of it and I still don't care. But the issue is what's happening outside of Guyana because of that. Okay. And here's why that's an issue. The way the PPP has positioned themselves domestically, the opposition really doesn't have an opportunity to do anything. As a matter of fact, they're losing power as days go by. That's what's happening domestically. And so the opposition is going to need some help from the outside. That's just the truth. All right. But the problem is, if you're the opposition and your leader is under full OFAC sanctions and under a criminal indictment from a grand jury in Miami, Florida, well, nobody internationally can now work with the opposition. They can't. They're legally barred from being able to do that. And so there's a so situation now in Guyana is domestically, the opposition party can't do anything because they don't have the seats in parliament. And then internationally, because Azruddin Mohammed is the opposition leader, there's nothing the opposition can do internationally because in order for them to do anything, Azruddin Mohammed would have to fly from Guyana to whatever country he wants to meet with to talk face to face. And he can't do that under full OFAC sanctions and under a criminal indictment. And so people may be saying, well, he can do a Zoom conference call with the government of France. Seriously? Okay. So does anybody think that Azruddin Mohammed can do a Zoom conference call with the government of France, for example, and the PPP not watch the whole thing? Like, what can he say in confidence that he would need to say that the PPP wouldn't be able to see if he's communicating outside to people through from Guyana? In order to in order to be able to do things diplomatically, you need privacy. You have to be able to speak in a way where people don't know what you're talking about. In order to do that, you're going to have to leave Guyana to speak to people face to face. Well, unfortunately, the opposition party in Guyana, the person who is the who would have to meet face to face to get assistance from anyone outside of Guyana, he can't leave. He can't speak to anyone. So there's literally no voice for the opposition anywhere in the world outside of Guyana now. That's what making Azruddin Mohammed the opposition leader did to the opposition. It made it so that the opposition, the entire everyone who is within the opposition of Guyana is 100% blocked off from the rest of the world. Why? Because many of you can do your own little things on the side. You all can make your little plans, whoever you are within the opposition. But if the opposition leader isn't on board, no one internationally is going to want to do anything. And the only way to get the opposition leader on board is he's going to have to leave Guyana to speak to people, and he cannot. And so many of you may think, oh, but we don't need anyone outside of Guyana to help the opposition. Have you guys not seen what the PPP are doing? You really think that? You really think that? Like, so the PPP, they have lobbyists in the United States. You guys don't think the opposition needs lobbyists in the United States? I think they do. But the problem is, if the opposition gets lobbyists in the United States, they can't have confidential communication with the opposition leader because he's under sanctions and he's under an indictment in Miami. And so no one can do anything. So even if the opposition were to get a lobbying firm in the United States to deal with the PPP's lobbying within the United States, which, that's what opposition parties do, just so you know. You guys get your lobbyists too, and you speak your side to the politicians in Washington, D.C., who will counter what the PPP are saying. That's how it works. But if your opposition leader can't speak to those lobbyists confidentially in a way where the PPP can't see everything he's saying, then there's no way you can lobby. I don't know what to say. And so because of this, okay, it was basically the nail in the coffin. Azzuddin Mohammed becoming the opposition leader. It was the nail in the coffin. I knew this all along. I didn't say anything because I knew everyone would say I'm lying. I'm being paid by the PPP to lie. I'm this and that and this and that because so for the Americans watching and for people internationally watching this, the people of Guyana, those people have been basically through a massive mind experiment of just mental and emotional abuse for decades. I mean, it's been mentally and emotionally savage for the people there. And so anyone who speaks the truth is going to be met with a lot of opposition there, bottom line. And the more truth you speak, the more opposition you will meet. Okay. Because the truth is really not wanted in the nation of Guyana. It's just not wanted. Okay. It would be better for everyone if they had the truth. It would be better if people would listen to people like me when I say, hey, the opposition is cut off from the rest of the world. You can't lobby anyone, you can't do anybody because your leader is under indictment and under sanctions. And what's really sad about the whole situation is I saw a video where Azzuddin Mohammed was out publicly and he was saying he doesn't understand why the US government cares that he was sending gold from Guyana through the United States to Dubai because he said that none of that gold was ever sold to the United States, so or anyone in the United States, so it shouldn't matter that he was doing this. And from I can understand his perspective if you're like someone I don't know, like if I was like in high school or middle school or something, I can't explain it, but that's just not an adult perspective. Maybe that was a bad I don't know. But the bottom line is this, guys. So he's been indicted on smuggling 10,000 kilos of gold out of Guyana. And according to the indictment, the gold was sent from Guyana to Miami, from Miami to Dubai. Okay. So the question is from him, from the video I saw, he wants to know why does America care if he's just using Miami as a holding station as a waypoint before he sends his gold on to Dubai? Because it really has nothing to do with America then. Well, it has everything to do with us because the question is why doesn't he send his 10,000 kilos of smuggled gold to Cuba to go on to Dubai? Why doesn't he take his 10,000 kilos of smuggled gold to the Dominican Republic and then on Dubai? Why doesn't he take the 10,000 kilos of smuggled gold to Mexico City and then on to Dubai? Why doesn't he just go and have the gold go to Beijing and then to Dubai? There are so many places in the world his gold could go to. As a matter of fact, maybe he could find a way to get the gold from Guyana straight to Dubai somehow. I don't know. But why hasn't that been done? Why would he use Miami? Well, the big reason why is because if you send 10,000 kilos of gold through Miami, that's a very secure place. The US government the taxpayer pays a lot of money to make sure that things like gold aren't just stolen by cartels and other criminals. The US government makes it so that you can take 10,000 kilos of gold in Guyana, sit it in Miami, and not one person will touch it. It will be safe. And then you can then take it from there and to wherever you want in the world. And when you take it to that other place in the world, that other place, no one's going to touch it there either. Why? Because they know it's coming from the United States. Yeah. And so it means everything that Azzuddin Mohammed used Miami to send gold to Dubai. It means everything because he was using me, every taxpayer in America, every American citizen. He was using us to protect his gold that he was smuggling, not only when it was in Miami, but when it was in transit to Dubai and when it was in Dubai. Because here's what happens if some nation tries to go around stealing things from the United States. You can look at Iran and find out they get blown up. And so Azruddin Muhammad was using that protection to smuggle 10,000 kilos of gold out of Guyana, according to a criminal indictment given by a grand jury in the city of Miami in the Southern District of Florida federal court. So it was everything. And so now he has the indictment on him. Now he was already sanctioned, but now he's the opposition leader, and the opposition is being crushed and stifled and choked off domestically. And any international help they could get by getting a lobbyist, anything in the United States, anything to get some breathing room, they can't get, because they're the leader who has to make the deal. He can't leave Guyana, and he can't communicate without everyone in the world knowing every word he's saying, as long as he's in Guyana. So that's the predicament, guys. The PPP is becoming a dictatorship because of this situation. There's nothing anyone can do to stop it, right? So with that said, I've been trying to help those who I can understand or position themselves for being able to, live in an oil-rich dictatorship. Why do I care about that? Well, the reason why I care about that is because you guys are now my neighbor. I'm your neighbor. You guys are very important to our world here. I've been saying this since 2009. Guyana is very important to America. Very important. We are also very important to you guys. And I just so happen to specialize in knowing who the criminal elements are in the United States who are trying to get in on Guyana to create a criminal scene in Guyana. I also know who the people are within Guyana who are interacting with corrupt government officials in the United States. So I happen to be the guy, since I've been around since 2009 looking at this, and since my work has led to criminal prosecutions on this, I'm standing there looking at who's going back and forth, and I'm looking for the criminal guys. I know who they are, and they're all laying really low right now. And I don't blame them because I know more about this situation than they do. And I'm watching. And so people are wondering, well, why are you watching? Who's paying you? I've been a government watchdog now since 2008. This is my career. This is my job. I just co-authored a book on the region. So the book is about the most powerful Cuban American politician in history, his life and his political career, and how that impacted the region that we are all in right now. Yeah, guys. So I try not to say this all the time. I try not to say, oh, I'm a professional because it isn't. I try not to lay it all out. But for the people who are in the know, in the PPP, these different people who are CEOs of companies, these different politicians here in the United States, they know I'm a big problem for the corrupt elements who are trying to play games in this region. They know it. Okay, I am, and I understand that. But I'm not trying to be a watchdog in the traditional sense, in that filing complaints and trying to expose people the way Melly Mel does. I'm trying not to do that because I understand the situation is delicate and there are a lot of moving pieces. So I'm not trying to throw stones. What I'm trying to do is just allow everyone to have my perspective on it, because if you can see it this way, you'll be able to see what's coming so that you can yourself adjust to what will be happening. Why is that important? Because if you guys, if I don't get as many people as possible to get this message and start to adjust, then there's going to be a train wreck in this region. It's guaranteed because there's just too much corruption. There's too much of it. And there's too much political instability. So when you guys hear me say, hey, the PPP needs to be giving a way bigger cash grant, the reason why I'm saying that is because I understand how important the political stability is in Guyana to my gas bill. It's like, why are people not connecting the dots here? Like, seriously, if Guyana goes into a chaotic situation, my gas bill could be like $7 or $8 a gallon. It could even go up to $10 a gallon, depending on how bad it is and if Venezuela gets caught up in it. Look, guys, $10 a gallon gas in the United States, we will be in a recession. We will be hurting in ways you couldn't imagine. So, yeah, just on my gas bill alone, the nation of Guyana's political stability is highly in my interests. Whether I get paid to do what I'm doing now or not, whether I get paid to help keep things stable and help to give a voice to the voiceless in Guyana, whether I do that or not, I'm going to be impacted. So I rather try to do something that can help everyone here, including myself, be in a situation where we can live together and cohabitate in a peaceful and a happy, productive way, not in a way where we're fighting each other, if that makes sense. I'm trying to provide some peace. Now, I understand people in Guyana are saying, we don't need that. A lot of people are saying we don't need help to have peace because we don't want peace. I understand that. Well, then I'm not the person you should be listening to right now. Serious. If you don't want peace, if you don't want a thriving economy, a prosperous region, a peaceful region in this part of the world, if you don't want that, then don't come on my show. Don't listen. You're wasting your time because my entire focus is on all of us living in a prosperous state and in peace because I know there's so much talent and ingenuity in this part of the world that if we can just have peace and stability, we will shine like nowhere else. But we need the peace and stability. And so, from my perspective, what's really hampering it is the corruption. And so, we need way more transparency. We need to make sure that the government is rewarding the right things, not only here in the United States, but also in Guyana and other countries in the region. So these are the things I'm talking about. These are the things I'm hitting on. But with that said, Guyana is going into a political dictatorship. And, it's what all oil rich nations end up doing anyway. I mean, you really can't avoid it. And so, you know, it is what it is. And I think everyone around the world who's in the know has now adjusted to that. And and that's how the world is going to move forward, I believe. So, with that said, I think a lot of people who were in the opposition over the years in Guyana saw this as well and moved over to the PPP early on. Um, I think that's going to happen more. Many, many more opposition members you will see joining the PPP because the longer it takes for you to join the PPP, the lower down on the totem pole you go to have to climb up the ranks to have a position of influence within your nation. And so the sooner you get on board with the PPP, the sooner you get on your track to moving up the ladder so you can have the influence you desire. I'm just saying. I'm not promoting the PPP right now. If you guys want to know, I just went over a whole discussion on why I see it this way. It's pretty much a reality. They're a dictatorship. And when that happens, you have to become a member of the dictatorship and you have to move your way up to get your influence and power. And there are people in the opposition right now who want influence and power in Guyana. This is how you do it. That's the truth. You're not going to be able to do it by supporting an opposition whose leader can't even leave the country to speak to anybody, whose leader can't even speak to anybody anywhere inside or outside of Guyana without the whole world listening in. And that's the ultimate problem. And see, as long as, and what's crazy is that the Bahamas keep kicking the extradition thing down the road. They're like, they're proving, oh, we don't have to be extradited. And you can see the PPP is like, oh, it's going to take months now for this to happen. It's going to take us months. I tell you, oh, it's because this judge Judy Latchman, she's just so corrupt, and man, we really want him extradited, but it's just going to take months, maybe even years. Who knows? This is the PPP stance. Why are they like that? Why is it taking so long for this extradition process to happen? It's because the PPP wants that. Why? Because the longer that the Mohammeds hang in Never Never Land and no man's land, with sanctions over their head, with an indictment over their head, running around to and from court, dealing with extradition issues, as long as all that's happening, guess what they're doing? They're consolidating power, not just domestically, but internationally. And there is no voice for the opposition. That's what's going on. So the longer this keeps going with the extradition thing, the more powerful the PPP get. I don't know what to say. Whew. So this is heavy stuff, guys. It's real stuff. This is what's really happening. And people have to start making decisions. They have to start, for those of you who want to have a say in your nation in Guyana, you're going to have to make a decision right now. Are you going to continue to stay in no man's land, going nowhere with your leader, Azzuddin Mohammed, in the opposition? Or are you going to move on with your life and join the PPP and start to move up in the ranks to try to make a difference in your country? That's where so many talented members of the opposition today are sitting at, with that in their mind right now in Guyana. All right. So someone's asking, why is the US government aligning itself with a dictatorship? The US government, we align ourselves with anybody. I don't get this. Look at the history. We will work with anybody. I don't get it. Look, we okay, President Barack Obama cut a deal with the mullahs in Iran. We were working with them. We work with everybody. We're working with the Russians right now, even though we're helping the Ukrainians. We work with everyone. Doesn't matter what the ideology is. It doesn't matter. And you know what? That's the same for every country. There isn't a single country in this world that says, oh, I don't like your ideology, so I'm never going to work with you. What? That's impossible. It's impossible. Everyone works with everyone. That's the real world. That's how it really works. Now, it may not seem like that on the surface because in the media and social media, they're telling you that, no, this person hates that person. Trust me, they're all working together. They're all fighting too. It's all happening at the same time. Fighting, working together, stabbing in the back. I mean, that's just how it goes in politics. Literally. Everybody works with everybody in politics, and they all stab each other in the back too. It's all happening at the same time. I'm sorry. Everyone in politics, their enemies are their friends at the same time. And friends are enemies. It's all at the same time, all the time. It never stops. That's just how it goes. I know, Gloria, people are saying people don't agree with moving all the PPP. Of course people don't, but that's the game. That's what they're doing to. So here's what's going to happen, right? The diehards who are like, I'm never going to be a sellout. And who don't sell out, they're going to be hurt the worst. They're going to pay the biggest price. That's how it goes. Just look at anything in life. It's the person who stays real and never sells out ever that gets hurt the worst. That's not the guy who gets the most money or the fame or the praise. Think about it now. Come on now. And so there are many people right now saying, hey, do I want to have my entire life ruined? And in the end, I won't even get credit, because guess what happens? The ones who never ever sell out and who get totally bulldozed, they never get any credit in the end anyway, because the people who are the ruling class, they're the ones who write history, and they just write those people out of the history books. They just disappear them out. And so it's a sacrifice for nothing. Okay? Just saying. Yeah. I'm sorry for laying it out like this, but I mean, that's just what's happening. This is a rough world we're in. It's not a game, guys. It's serious. And I think it's time that we started to get serious about how we speak about these things. That's what the off ramp, that's why I'm making this, that's why I'm doing this platform, is because these are the conversations we really need to be having. We really just need to say the truth, right? And look, that's a dictatorship right there. Sorry. And that's not going to change. And so now there's only two choices. Either get erased out of history by this regime, because they're going to erase you out, no matter how much of a no matter how honest you are, no matter how good of a job you've done for the people of Guyana. If you don't join with the PPP, they're just going to write your contribution out of the history books. It won't exist. And there won't be anyone around to tell of your contributions. And the reason why is because most people just don't know. That's how it goes. The people who are really doing the real work to keep all of our communities and nations together, we don't know who they are. We do not know who they are. They are not getting the credit. They are rarely in the history books. It's just the truth, right? And so there are nations like America. I think the greatest nations in the world are the ones with populations of people who can do the work and not need, basically who can sacrifice for their own individual good for the betterment of the others. Like the nations with the most people like that in high level positions of power, those are the nations that thrive. Those are the nations that do the best. And so if you think of it that way, right? Some of you who are in the opposition, it may take you to make the hard decision of sacrificing your own personal wants and desires and dreams as an opposition member to do what's best for your community. And that might be to join the PPP. This is the situation people are in. I'm just saying. And it's not going to get better. More and more people will be in this situation. That's just how it goes. And that's why they continue to push the thing down the road on the Mohammeds. That extradition, if the PPP can, they'll make that extradition process go for the next 30 years. Why? Because that wouldn't guarantee that the opposition has a leader for 30 whole years who's under full OFAC sanctions and under criminal indictment in the United States, meaning that the opposition party for 30 whole years will never have a voice ever from their leader. That's what they want. And so people are laughing and stuff like, look, the Mohammeds are winning because they're not being extradited to the United States. And it's like, no, the PPP, they don't want him extradited. The PPP will keep this thing going for 30 years if they have to. If they can get away with it, they will. The only reason why they've got to go through all the crap with Judy Latchman and all this stuff is because they don't want the Americans to figure out that they're the ones playing the game here, that it is beneficial for America to just look the other way and just let them deal with this Muhammad thing in the courts. If it takes 5 years, don't worry. Just trust us, Americans. We know what we're doing. That's what they're trying to do, guys. Sorry to break it to you. And so they have everybody mentally twisted inside out. All the win supporters are cheering every single time they see that the Mohammeds aren't extradited. They don't realize that the PPP are the ones who are cheering. They're the ones like, yeah, keep cheering, guys. Ha ha ha. Because we're the ones who don't want them going anywhere. Because as long as they have the Mohammeds there in Guyana, they've got control over the Mohammeds. There's nothing the Mohammeds can do. There's nothing they can say. And if they got control over them, they have control over the opposition. The worst nightmare for the PPP is that the Mohammeds get extradited to Miami. I'm just telling you guys, that's their biggest nightmare. So that's the political situation, guys, in Guyana right now. The public is totally flipped inside out as to what they see is going on the ground. Everybody thinks the PPP desperately wants the Mohammeds extradited, and it's just these bad judges getting in the way. It's just this horrible court system getting in the way. Oh my God. It's all a game. Give me a break. But everyone in Guyana believes the game. And so people from like me on the outside who are looking at it, like I said, I've been looking at this since 2009. Like I said, my work led to criminal prosecutions of PPP bribery of U.S. government officials. So I think I know what I'm talking about when I say that the PPP plays games. They do. Very advanced games. And this is the current game. This is the current game they're playing. And they're trying to get as many people as possible caught up in the wash, because as long as the Mohammeds are in Guyana and they're struggling and they've got control over them, there's different things that the PPP can do to get different people entangled into it that had nothing to do with it. People like me, for example, if they could just work it just right with a guy like Mike Pompeo, right? Maybe they could cut a deal and offer me a house or something in Guyana worth millions of dollars. But it's really some kind of Muhammad cutout. So I accept it. And now all of a sudden I'm a Muhammad guy. That's the kind of stuff these guys are trying to do, man. That's what they're doing. And that's what they're using Muhammad for. Is just to ensnare and entrap as many people into that criminal indictment, into those sanctions, by having them stuck in Guyana and not able to face the charges. That's it. So that's what's going on politically, guys. I'm sorry to break it to you. I'm sorry it's a depressing situation, but that's what's going on. It's a mess. But at the end of the day, the opposition members are going to have to ask themselves a question, especially the ones who want to have influence in Guyana. Are you going to continue to mess around in the game that the PPP have created for the opposition, where they're just trying to get every single one of you caught up in some kind of indictment or some type of sanction situation? And as long as they keep Mohammeds out there, they're going to get you guys. Are you going to do that? Or are you going to finally join up with them and work your way up the ranks? Those are the questions. Man. So guys, take care. Have a great day. I'll probably be on later because I need to talk about some of this Iranian stuff and everything else. Yes. And thanks for the comments and stuff, guys. I appreciate it. I know I didn't respond to many because I really needed to get this message out. So many people are questioning, hey, why is this guy commenting so much? Well, I've been commenting since 2009. You know, I'm sorry that you're just now figuring out that I exist. That's not on me. Okay. If you wonder what I think about the region, if you wonder what I think about some of the influence on the region, you can read the book I co-authored, Gold Bar Bob. You can also get it in an audiobook. Okay. It's available audiobook, ebook. You can get it in any store. You can get it from Target, Barnes and Nobles, Walmart, Amazon, independent bookstores. You can get it anywhere. Read it. There's a lot of important information in there. And as time goes on, keep coming back to the platform, because as time goes on, what I have to say and what I've been doing is going to become more and more important, because the United States and Guyana are coming closer and closer together. And it's important for the world that this transition occur properly, that our relationship is one in which Guyana is an independent, strong ally to the United States. That's what we need. That's what I'm working for. So love you guys. Thank you for all the support. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. I'll talk to you guys later.
Now I'ma put it down like that. I'm leaving, I ain't coming back. You don't like the way I act anyway. You really don't have to react. Don't try to change my mind, in fact. Honey, I've already packed all my stuff. We're no longer kids, let's move on. And you are not my kid, so I'm done. Please don't make me pull my gun. Sorry boy, I can't be the one. You know it, yeah. Nothing lasts forever. You know that a change will make it better. You know that nothing lasts forever. You know that, yeah, change will make it better. There's no one to blame, you see. Maybe we're not meant to be. There are plenty more fish in the sea anyway. Every day's a different thing, so I'm not into wedding rings. It ain't personal, it's the way I think. Yeah. You know it, nothing lasts forever. And you know change will make it better.